Hello, my name is Jess and welcome to the Storyteller Fox. Come along and listen to read aloud books, be it for bedtime, story time, or simply to read along.
Hello and welcome to the Storyteller channel. In today's story time, I will be reading you a book called The Golden Goose. Once upon a time, there were 3 brothers. One day, the oldest brother set off to chop wood for the fire. As he reached the forest, he came across an old man. "Good day to you," the man called out. "Can you spare any bread?" "I'm sorry," replied the brother. "I need it for my lunch." "In that case," said the man, "do you have anything to drink?" "I can't spare it," replied the oldest brother. "Chopping wood is thirsty work. Now excuse me, I must be on my way." The oldest brother marched off into the forest, but he had not been working long before the axe slipped and cut his finger. He screamed and ran straight home. He couldn't help but wonder if the old man had something to do with the accident. The next day, the second brother went to cut wood. At the edge of the forest, he met the same old man. "Hello," said the man. "Can you spare any bread?" "I need it for my lunch," replied the second brother. "Can you spare anything to drink then?" asked the old man. "I'm sorry," replied the brother. "I'll need a drink when I'm thirsty from chopping wood." With that, the brother marched off into the forest and started chopping. But as he swung the axe, it slipped and dropped on his toe. He let out a great howl and hopped all the way home, wondering if the old man had somehow caused his injury. The next day, the youngest brother set off for the forest. His brothers jeered that he would be too weak to chop the wood, but they needed it for the fire. So the youngest brother went on his way with a lunch of old bread and stale water. When he reached the forest, he met the old man. The old man asked him if he could spare some food and drink. "Of course," replied the youngest brother, "but the bread is old and the water stale." "Thank you," said the old man. "I'm sure will be lovely and fresh. Everything will be lovely and fresh." Sure enough, it was. As they sat and ate, the old man turned to the boy. "Because you have been kind to me, I will tell you a secret," he said, pointing to an old withered tree. "If you chop down that tree, you will find something wonderful beneath it." So the youngest of the brothers took the axe and felled the old tree. There, sitting amongst the roots, was a goose with pure feathers of pure gold. It was late by now, so the boy had to stay at an inn. The innkeeper had 3 girls. While the boy slept, the eldest daughter tried to steal one of the golden feathers, but when she tried to pull her hand away, she found that she was stuck to the bird fast. The second daughter tried to pull her away, but the moment she touched her sister, she became glued fast. The third sister thought they were playing. Before her sisters had time to warn her, she too was completely stuck. The boy awoke the next morning to find the innkeeper's 3 daughters attached in a line to the golden goose. To teach them a lesson, he picked up the goose and marched through the village with the daughters in tow. As they passed the church, the priest called out. "Stop!" he cried. "What are you doing?" He grabbed at the youngest daughter. As soon as he touched her, his hand was glued and he was forced to run along at the end of the line. They left the village behind and came to some fields. "Please help," the priest asked a farmer and his wife. "I'm stuck. Can you please pull me free?" They both ran over and tried to pull the priest away, but they too became stuck fast. By the time they reached the city, a couple of workmen had been added to the line of people. The king of the city had a daughter who was very sad. No one had ever been able to cheer her up, but when she witnessed this strange procession, she immediately broke into peals of laughter. "He makes me laugh," chuckled the princess to her father. "Can he stay a little longer?" The king, however, thought the boy was too poor and ragged to spend time with his daughter. "You can stay with us on one condition," he explained, trying to think of an impossible task. "You must find me a man who can, let me see, eat a mountain of bread." So the boy went back to the forest. "About time," said the old man. "I'm still hungry." The boy took the old man to the royal court, where a huge mountain of bread had been baked on the king's orders. The old man never stopped eating, and by the end of the day, all the bread was gone. The king still thought the boy was too wild to spend time with the princess. "You can stay with us on one other condition," he explained, thinking of another impossible task. "You must find me a man who can drink all the water in my cellar." So the boy went back to the forest. "About time," the man said. "I'm thirsty after eating all that bread." The old man drank and drank until all the water in the cellar was gone. "One last condition before you can stay," the angry king demanded. "You must bring me a ship that sails on land and water." So the boy went back to the forest and asked the old man for his help. In a flash, a ship appeared from nowhere with a captain to sail it. "Amazing!" cried the boy. "Imagine the king's face when I turn up with this." The princess greeted him warmly. "My father's given up," she said. "He says you can stay as long as you wish, but he can't afford to feed that old man anymore." "Don't worry," said the boy. "We'll want for nothing while we have our golden goose." That's the end of the story.
Hello and welcome back to the Storyteller channel. In today's story time, I will be reading you a book called The Pied Piper of Hamelin. It's by Natalia Vasquez. Once upon a time, there was a town called Hamelin. It was a lovely town by the side of a wide river. It was full of big houses and beautiful gardens. The townspeople were happy. Their store cupboards were full of food and their children were healthy. But one day, a pack of hungry rats arrived. They ate all the flowers and vegetables in the gardens. They ran through all the houses and stole all the food from the cupboards. They raced back to their pet. They scared all the children and the pets. No one knew what to do. The mayor of Hamelin called the people together. "We need a way to get rid of these rats," he said. "Does anyone have any idea?" Everyone scratched their heads and everyone looked at everyone else. There was silence. "Very well," said the mayor, holding out a hat. "You must all give me a gold coin. I will offer a reward to anyone that can help." The next day, a stranger arrived in town. He was dressed in strange clothes and carried a large bag and a wonderful pipe. He stood in the town square and played beautiful tunes for the people there.
"Who are you?" they asked. "Where are you from?" "They called me the Pied Piper," answered the stranger. "I have come from far away to help you get rid of your rats." As soon as the mayor heard this news, he rushed down to the square. "Is this true?" he asked the piper. "Can you get rid of us of the rats?" "Of course," he replied. "I am a man of my word. There's a bag of gold for you if you do," promised the mayor. Without another word, the piper picked up his pipe and began to play wonderful music. The people in the square closed their eyes. The music made them dream of beautiful woods and valleys. They heard towards the music as if to follow. Then the piper stopped playing. "Don't listen," he told the townspeople, "unless you want to come along with the rats." The people put their hands over their ears and the piper began to play again. At first, nothing happened. "Pa," said the mayor. "What a waste of time." But then all of a sudden, the people standing there saw a black nose, some whiskers, and a pair of bright eyes. A single rat ran into the square. It ran up to the piper and sat up watching the man's pipe as if bewitched. Then another rat appeared and joined the first, then another and another. In no time at all, the square was full of rats, all sitting still, staring at the Pied Piper. The piper turned to the mayor. "I will be back for my gold," he promised. Then he turned on his heel and marched quickly out of the square, across the river and up the steep path that led to the mountains. The rats followed him silently in a long, snaky line. The people were amazed. When they went back to their homes, they found that every single rat had disappeared. "Hurrah!" they shouted. "Let's have a party!" The next day, the Pied Piper turned up in the town square. "I have come for my reward," he said. "Oh, have you?" replied the mayor. "I've been thinking about that. It's a lot of money. How do we know that the rats didn't just decide to leave town? How can you be so sure you got rid of them?" asked one of the crowd. "Rats don't even like music. You must keep your word," replied the piper sternly. "I'll give you one last chance." "We're not giving you our money," everyone said, and that's an end to it. The piper turned angrily on his heel and marched to the middle of the square. Without another word, he lifted the pipe to his lips and began to play. He played the most beautiful music that made everyone want to follow him, but the grown-ups put their hands over their ears. "You can't fool us," they shouted. But then, all of a sudden, one of the children ran into the square. She ran right up to the piper and stood there. She watched the man's pipe as if in a dream. Then another child appeared and joined the first. When another and another, in no time at all, the square was full of children, all standing still, staring at the Pied Piper. The piper looked at the people. "This will teach you to be true to your word," he shouted as he turned away. He lifted his pipe to his lips and began to walk away towards the bridge. He crossed the river and marched up the steep path that led to the mountains. The children followed him silently in a long, snaky line. The townspeople tried to stop their children leaving, but to no avail. They stood and watched them disappear. Then they turned on the mayor. "This is all your fault," they shouted. "You should have kept your promise. Where has he taken them? And what on earth are you going to do?" Up in the mountains, the children walked and climbed until they reached the opening into a dark cave. The piper stood aside as they all marched in. Then he put away his pipe and strode into the darkness. But there was one little girl who walked too slowly to keep up with the others. She watched the children disappear into the cave. When the music stopped, it was as if she had woken from a dream. She scrambled back to the town quickly as she could. She led the mayor across the river and along the steep path up into the mountains. The people followed silently in a long, snaky line. When they arrived at the cave, the mayor stepped forward, holding out not one but 2 bags of gold. "Piper," he called, "we have come to say sorry and to keep our word. Please come out and claim your reward." The piper came out of the darkness and took the 2 bags. He lifted his pipe to his lips and began to play. One by one, the children came out in excitement. The children came out of the cave, blinking in the sunlight. The people and their children climbed down the mountainside back to their lovely town. "Thank goodness that's over," said the mayor. "I hope we'll never see another rat ever." Agreed. I hope we never see another rat ever. But if we do, we'll know who to call. That's the end of the story. I hope you've enjoyed it. For more exciting stories, please remember to like and subscribe at the Storyteller channel. Bye for now.
The end. And that's the end of our story time. For more bedtime stories, you can check on our YouTube playlist or listen to more storytime compilations at the Storyteller Fox. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.